So again, for the finest granularity, as we're moving through these, we want to tag and label everything that we can. The reason possible there is in brackets is because there are some things that cannot be tagged. Data transfer is one of them, although Amazon are starting to make some inroads on that one. For most cases, in most situations, you can't tag it. The method of tagging and labeling in the two cloud providers, AWS and GCP, is slightly different, but they're all essentially the same thing. You need to create them and define them somehow, and then make sure they're available in your billing before you sort of go through and apply them. With both clouds, the two major ones we work with, but Azure as well, you can't go backwards in time. Okay. Once you apply tags, they go forwards. And that can create some interesting challenges later on. You can also use it not just for the billing data, you can use it for operation and support topics, things like data security levels, access controls. You can do a lot with those tags. But when I work with customers, I find they tend to get a little bit excited by the idea and go over the top when they get started. If you're not already using tags, if you're starting to use them to look into your cost allocations, I would recommend starting off as, the KISS process, principles. Start off keeping it really basic, really simple. Okay. My opinionated way of starting this off is use just three tags: workload, stage, and team. So workload could be changed out for application name, whatever suits your business. Let's say web front end, something like that. Stage is your developmental stage. So dev, test, prod, or whichever phases you're using. And the team is who's responsible for running this. The reason I have team and workload is because sometimes one team will be responsible for multiple workloads, or multiple teams might be responsible for workload. So then you can really get down to, so Amazon S3 is an example. They have in one product or one project, they have hundreds of teams working on that, looking after front ends and back ends and indexing services and all sorts of things. Separating out with your tags as finely as you can will enable you to do analysis on those things. At the same time, if you go too deep on those tags, you end up with too many, and with the overkill, you never get it right. Both Amazon and Google have the same challenge here in that they are all case sensitive. So if you use something like stage or environment name or something like that, and one tag name has a capital E and the other one doesn't, then they're going to appear as two separate tags. The same with the values. So try to always stick to the single name case, whether that's uppercase, lowercase, Python, snake case, whatever you want. Try to make sure that everyone in your company is doing the same thing. You can coalesce them later on. It's just more data processing work that needs to be done. And again, follow those FinOps principles, right? So for example, when I'm looking at the inform, optimize, and operate, I would start off with this workload, stage, and team. And if I don't have them, then I'm going to fall back to accounts. And sometimes that's not going to be very detailed. I'm not going to have a lot of account information. So on my first trip through the optimize phase, I'm going to try to start getting teams to deploy these tags. Now, if the teams are following best practice, they're using Terraform, they're using some kind of infrastructure as code, that's going to take a while before they've updated all their code and before things are getting tagged. So I'm going to then put in a KPI for my operate phase is what percentage of my costs have a tag. Right? Give me any tag, doesn't matter what tag, but start to get some data on what I have tagged and what I haven't. How much of my stuff can I start to allocate? And over time, I'm going to get better at that. Next time around, I'm going to say, okay, everyone's got tags, but let's get the casing right? So make sure that everyone's using a capital W for workload or whatever the situation might be. As we keep going through, our crawl, walk, run starts taking care of itself. And while we're doing all of that, you will start automatically forming new questions. Okay. Teams will be curious and they'll see my team has used this much this month. When we start showing back to them, it's 10% higher than last month. Is it in dev, test, or prod? Can I explain what happened? Can I start comparing it to code changes that we made? Anything along those lines?